Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, a workforce development consultant with the Kent Intermediate School District here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm so delighted to have Jerry Miedema with us today. He is a farmer and a company president of Buck Creek Farms. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, I love meeting people in a variety of jobs. It's one of my passions, and we're so glad to have you here today. Students like to know really kind of what we were doing back at their ages. So when you were 15 or 16, Jeremy, were you thinking you'd grow up to be a farmer and even the president of the company? Tell us about what you were thinking.
Well, I did intend to become a farmer. I really did want to. I love the lifestyle, and I grew up right on the main farm here. But my parents did encourage me to look at other career opportunities. I did end up working elsewhere, but for a while, but came right back. So, yeah.
Yeah, tell me, or tell the group too, are you a second generation, third generation? Tell us about your farming history and your family.
We're actually a fourth generation farm. My great grandfather started here with my grandfather in this location. Probably about 90 to 100 years ago. So yeah, it's been part of my life all growing up, and it's really the only thing I've really known and loved. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I think that's great. And so, sometimes there's families in certain businesses, and sometimes the young person will want to leave the family business and venture off. What were you loving about the farmer lifestyle that you knew that you wanted to continue in the family business?
Well, I think I really always really appreciated the seasonality of it. There's never a boring time where you're slogging through doing the same thing for months on end. We have seasons where it's like now planning for your crops. Then you go into the planting season, and then you care for your crops, tend to them, and then start the harvest and the sales aspect. And when you get done with that, you wrap things up, get things cleaned up, and start fixing equipment and working on that and doing other kinds of construction projects and things to improve the work in the summer. So yeah, there's just a wide variety of jobs that I'm able to do, and I've learned a lot I've got a lot of different skills that I've picked up over the years with construction and plumbing and electrical and all kinds of things, because we do things ourselves mostly. So
Yeah, and so with your being a fourth generation farmer, do you have other family members in it too? Is this a familial thing, cousins and uncles kind of thing?
yes, currently the ownership there's 5 of us. I have myself and 2 brothers, and also 2 cousins that are in the ownership and work here. My dad and my aunt own a portion of the main business yet. But they're retired, so yeah, we're taking it over for the last about 6 years or so, and yeah, it's going well. So
That's great. And I'm going to dig into some of those skills that you mentioned. Why don't you tell everybody the kind of farming that you do? Because obviously there's different types of farming, and maybe you can even help people understand the wide variety of types of farms. Tell us more about yours.
oh yeah, there are a lot of different types of farming, but we're a produce farm. So we grow sweet corn, cabbage, and squash. So we're quite seasonal, and we have to really plan for staging out the crops as we for the season, so that we have a consistent supply over the course of our growing season. We can't hold things back. Like sweet corn, for example, has a peak readiness, and we have to harvest it and sell it in that time period. Otherwise, it goes bad. So there's a different level of stress and planning that you have to go through, and a focus on sales and movement of the particular crop that we have to do, that some of the grain farmers don't have to really worry about. So, but it's also a lot higher margin crop than some of the grains and corn and beans and things like that.
Well, like you said, it's that perishableness of it. You got to harvest it and get it right back out, which
Yeah,
adds a level of stress, like you said.
yeah. Well, stress or you just have to be careful about timing.
I was delighted after I met you in the fall that I bought a beautiful acorn squash, and I noticed the sticker had Buck Creek Farms on it. I'm like, hey, I know this farmer. So that was really fun for me as a consumer to know that my squash was coming directly from somebody right in my community. So that was awesome.
Well, that's our favorite. We really like feeding our own community first, and it's really nice to see our stuff and know it's being shipped right locally. It also does get shipped all over the eastern side of the country, but it's really special to know that the neighbors are coming and buying it at the stand and things like that. It makes you feel good to know you're feeding people.
Oh, I think that would be one of the biggest positives of being a farmer. What are some other positives that you love about being a farmer?
Well, for the seasonality of it, that's really, really wonderful. I love being outside. I love being out, seeing wildlife, seeing things grow. I love watching corn emerge from the ground and grow up tall. And I love harvesting it. It's just so fun. When you get that, some of the best times are when you just start that first week of sweet corn. That's my favorite time. And we start harvesting that and shipping it, and when things are going out, and it's exciting because it's also when the money starts coming in.
Right. A
Because
little piece of that, yeah.
yeah, the other parts of the year aren't as exciting because it's mostly expense. So we have that narrow window where we take money in, and that's a nice part too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love it because there's certainly young people who love the idea of being outdoors every day. They love that there's change in variety, that your year's kind of moving through these different seasons, like you said. What is the hardest part? What would you like young people to know the reality of some farming, and maybe even address the myths, things that just aren't true that some of us city folk might think are there?
Some of the most challenging things are weather and marketing. The weather, you can do some of your best work and have just beautiful crops, and then you can get an 8-inch rain and then they're all just destroyed. That can really be heartbreaking because you've put all that time and energy and money into those crops, and then you just aren't going to get any back. So that can be really tough mentally. Marketing aspects, sometimes that can be a little bit of a hassle because we farmers, we tend to oversupply. We like to really be excellent at our job and produce a wonderful crop. And sometimes that supply exceeds demand. And in fresh market, if there's too much supply and not enough demand, the price goes down. So, and movement can be tough then too. So that's kind of another challenge, and it's disheartening when you're like, oh, I got such beautiful crops, and they're just not selling because there's too much supply in the market. So that can be a challenging aspect, but one of the benefits of being a fourth generational farmer is I am, we've seen that cycle happen several times, and we just and have it ingrained in us that if as long as we do the best possible job we can do, it'll probably work out. It's a very high likelihood. So you know, it's just, you got to be persistent and dauntless, and go forward trusting that it's going to work out. 99 times out of 100 it does. So
Yeah, I'm glad you have that family history to be that encouragement. How it just did prompt me to think though, with global warming, have you as a farmer started to notice differences in some of those cycles? Is that true for you?
Haven't really noticed anything drastic. I don't know. I think when we talk about and think about climate change, I think we have as a people these days have kind of a short-term view of things, and I don't think we realize that how the seasons, how they've changed in the past. You know, whenever you hear about heat wave, like it's super hot, you hear about broken records from, oh yeah, it's the hottest since it's been in the 1940s. Well, if you look back in the records, it's not really been any hotter or colder, or, you know, that's what averages mean. So I haven't really noticed anything. You know, we still get strange weather patterns. It just happens. And it hasn't really been an issue for us specifically.
I'm
One
glad to hear that.
other things that might have had an effect, for example, what was it, last year or the year before, when there were all the fires in California and Oregon, we did notice a significant impact on our crops here because it shaded the sun, and there was a haze. And then we noticed like our sweet corn took a longer time to mature just because it wasn't getting that sunlight available. So I'd say that was a little bit more of a noticeable thing as far as the climate goes. Other than that, it's pretty consistent. You
I'm
know,
glad to hear that. You don't need that extra stress.
no.
So you had outlined planning and then planting, then the care and tending to your crops, and then harvesting and sales. And one of our attendees would love to know, what do you do in the winter then?
Oh, in the winter. Well, like I said, in about November, we're still cutting cabbage and shipping in November and shipping squash. In December, we kind of we get things cleaned up. We spend a lot of time power washing and getting everything taken care of, put away for the year. Then we have an assessment of, you know, how the year has gone, and we do a lot of financial things at that time to kind of plan for what we're going to do for the next year and close out our financial year. And then I start in December, I start figuring out my seed order for next year, and start plotting and planning that out, and purchase that, and take care of that. And then you know, in January we continue to plan, and some of us are working on equipment, making some changes, purchasing equipment, selling old equipment that we're no longer using. And then in February, about mid-February, we start sowing seeds in the greenhouse. So that takes a couple of guys a day a week, you know, we're playing with that. So That's where the excitement starts building again. And then, yeah, and the tail end of March, we'll be looking to get into the field to do some tillage and some field work and things like that. And also all winter, if the weather permits, I do a lot of work with our excavator and clean up tree lines and just field maintenance, because trees and brush keep growing. You gotta keep up on it. So yeah, there's a lot of different jobs to do. There's never a dull moment.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the things that you love about it, is that something different every day. And I know there's young people watching this, that's what's very appealing to them, is that there's that cycle to it, but something different every day. Again, hands-on, not boring. And you seem to really, really enjoy it. Tell me about how you picked up some of those construction and plumbing and electrical skills, just because you got to do it.
Well, yeah, some ways you just got to do it. My dad was always a very handy guy, and he was great at fabricating. And my brother and I really picked up on that. And we build a lot of our own unique equipment due to the variety, the types of crops we grow. There's not a lot of machinery that's you can buy that is tailor made to make your operation run smoothly. So we build a lot of things with we do a lot of welding and fabricating like that. And then our packing lines and for sweet corn in particular are highly specialized, and so we built all those. And then you got to wire those and get those to work. And so you kind of pick that part up. And then also we have housing. We have migrant workers that come every year to help us with the harvest of the crops. And so we had time in the winter, so we'd build housing for them and plan for that. And so you pick up all those kind of skills while you're doing it. And, you trial by error a lot, but after a while you get things figured out where you can pretty much do any common thing that you can imagine.
I think it's great too. Like you say, that's the plus of a fourth generation. You've had someone modeling that to you. With being a fourth generation though, someone on our Zoom today would love to know about technology. What have you seen over those generations, even since you've been in charge with technology and even maybe some of the science of farming?
Oh, there has been a lot of improvement, especially recently with GPS technology. It's not just keeping your rows straight, although it does help with that. We use grid sampling. We sample our soils using GPS, and also fertilizer applications are applied using those grid samples. So when we go out and spread our fertilizer, that fertilizer is dosed exactly to what the field needs in that particular area, because fields do vary. There could be a high spot in the field or a low spot, and they have different nutritional requirements. So with that technology, it has enabled us to balance our fields out better so that they're more uniform across the row to row. So we boost our yields up that way. We get the more out of the land that we have, and we don't deplete our soils like we tended to do before that technology. So that's very helpful. And then the soil science that goes on. There's so much more into it than even I know. I'm not an agronomist, but we really do pay a lot of attention to a lot of micronutrient necessities and needs, and just conserving our soil base. A lot of our farms we've had in our family for the whole time, the whole years that we've been growing here. So we're really focused on the long game. We don't want to deplete our soils or erode our soils. So we're really always looking for any kind of advantage to keep our soils in good, healthy condition. So yeah, we do a lot of testing, and we have a lot of partners that we work with to help with that soil science, with tissue samples of the crops, and it's really changed a lot from 30 years ago when I started being more mindful of what's going on around the farm. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way.
Yeah, that was something that I enjoyed learning about when I came to visit your farm, and just some of those partnerships you mentioned with some of the other scientists coming out of Michigan State, for example. What are some of those other, even marketing, what are some of the other jobs that help you run your business? You mentioned the ergonomist, is that how you said it?
Agronomists, yeah.
Agronomist, that's a new one, I gotta look that up.
Yeah. So, there's agronomists and that there's several in the area that they're specialized in plant growth, plant health, root growth, root health, greenhouse. We started cabbage in a greenhouse, and there's guys that are just so tuned into figuring out how to just get the best plants, your seedlings, out of the greenhouse. So there's a ton of different people that have specialized knowledge that we do partner with. But then we also for marketing is a big part of our group here, and we have some great salespersons that really know their stuff, and they do a lot of planning with our marketing partners to be able to have that consistent demand for our product. Without them, we can grow the best stuff in the world, but if it doesn't get to the consumer, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just thinking about a student that might be watching this, Jeremy, and is kind of interested. And do you guys ever allow like high school students to work there, summer work, any type of job shadowing? How might we help a kid check this out if they were interested?
We have had several high schoolers that have come by and worked here. It's a little bit less than there used to be. We used to get a lot of people stopping by looking for work, looking for a summer job, but it hasn't been very many lately. I do have my nephew and niece. They work for us. My nephew is in high school and my niece is just out. So yeah, there's opportunities, but they have to have a commitment as well. Some of the hours are kind of a struggle for some kids, especially in the summer when they want to do sports and things like that when football starts.
Right. Why don't you give us a rundown of the qualities you're looking for?
Well, a hard worker, showing up, being on time, and keeping at it and keeping off their phone. That's a tough thing. The temptation is always there in their pocket. So and just a willingness to learn, and listening skills are important, and yeah, just a good attitude and a smile that gets you a long way.
Yeah, I think it's great for young people to hear that directly from you, Jeremy, because we can tell them to, have a good work ethic, show up, have a good attitude, put your phone away. But when you hear it from the employer, that's hopefully more impactful that they'll understand. Because why is it annoying to you as an employer to have some kid on his phone when they're supposed to be working? Help lay that out.
Well, when you hire somebody and they're selling something to you, right? They're selling their time to you. So they're saying, I'm going to give you an hour's worth of my work and you're going to trade me. You're going to buy that from me, right? But when they're not giving me that full attention, then I'm not getting what I'm paying for. So it's kind of like if you go and get a pizza and there's 2 slices missing when it gets delivered to you. It's like, man, that's not what I paid for. So yeah, it's kind of rubs you the wrong way. Put it that way.
No, that's great. I love the analogy too. And some of the school counselors on this call can take that back and maybe even make a graphic for their offices when they talk about why being on time and working hard is important. I love that. You've been so insightful. I guess I'm wondering, my final question, we have about 4 minutes left, is when you look at your career and even the career of your niece and nephew in the family business, what are you projecting? What do you see as kind of the up and coming, anything new in the farming world that we should know about?
Well, the technologies have really advanced a long ways, and I don't really see where it's going to slow down for the next little bit. I really do see a lot of possibilities in robotics. There's some amazing things. There's a farm show in Grand Rapids every year, and they really have some amazing technology and new things in robotics to help with harvest and things like that. Things that I never imagined were possible. So I really think that's going to be a great thing for us farmers in the future to help us, maintain that our profitability. And I think that's really neat stuff. But yeah, some of it's a little far off, but a lot of it with automatic weeders and robotic weeders and things, it's really neat. So, and then the soil science continues to advance. We're learning stuff all the time. It's really amazing. So.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point that there are farm shows, there's people who are working on this. And then do you get together with other farmers to kind of talk about these things? Is there like a network of people doing the similar work?
Well, we do with our partners in agronomy and our co-op and things like that. We do there's quite a lot of sharing that goes along with it. And it's really where we get most of our ideas for changing and advancing. And so yeah, it's a nice community that we have as farmers, and that we do share and want everybody to succeed. So yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, 1 minute left, Jeremy. What's your final word of wisdom for these young people who might be watching this or their school counselors?
Oh, my final word of wisdom. If you want to be a farmer, you have to be persistent and tenacious and have a good attitude. That'll get you anywhere you need to be.
That's awesome. Thank you for making time to be with us today, Jeremy. I certainly enjoyed learning about your industry today.
Well, thank you very much.